The hotel was even inconvenient for the junkies and hookers who hung out in taxi driver country a few blocks west of what was then called the 40 Deuce, a sleazy stretch of West 42nd Street lined with porn shops, live sex shows, and knife stores that ran from Broadway and past the bus terminal toward 8th and 9th Avenues. The hotel had bargain rates, but for the price it appeared to be clean and secure enough, and within quick walking distance of the film lab I would have to go to early the next morning. I showed up without a reservation and was told that a room would be ready for me shortly if I would wait about a half an hour, as people were checking out. I decided that in the meantime I would go up and wander around a few floors just to see how bad the place might really be. As I waited at the elevator, I was mildly annoyed to see that it had stopped for what seemed like an eternity on the top floor. Finally, the stalled elevator began to come down, and when the doors opened, presumably the jerk who had held the elevator on the upper floor got off. He almost walked over me like some kind of glassy-eyed zombie, looking right through me and brushing me aside as if I were not there. As he passed me by heading into the lobby, he lightly bumped my leg with a bag or a suitcase or something. I never noticed what exactly he carried, nor could I today describe the feel of it against my leg. The only other thing I would later remember was that he seemed to glow with a thin sheen of perspiration, and he had this really bad mop-like haircut. He appeared to be in his mid-30s with sandy-colored hair and looked like a junior pasty-faced office worker, which was precisely what he turned out to be later, although he was described by other witnesses as having an olive complexion. By the time the elevator doors closed behind me, I had forgotten all about him. I took the elevator up and got off on one of the floors at random. I immediately noticed a faint but distinct odor of something burning, but I did not see any smoke, and I thought it was the natural smell of the hotel. As I walked around the halls, I did not detect anything particularly nasty about the place, but I did notice the smell getting stronger, and now with an unmistakable underlying back odor of burnt chicken feathers or hair. I did not know it at the time, but that was the smell of roasting human flesh. In the corridor, my eyes were drawn to several elusively small, dark, greasy slivers of sooty substances floating and circulating in the air like tiny black snowflakes. When I caught one, it stained my fingers black. As I moved along the hall, it seemed to get lightly misty, and the smell was now unquestionably that of a building fire. That kind of woody paint-burning smell. I heard all sorts of commotion and shouting in the stairwells, and fire alarms began ringing. I quickly made my way down to the lobby, emerging just as the fire department was pulling up in the street outside. All this gave me a bad vibe about the place, to say the least, and I left almost immediately to seek out another hotel without a glance backward. The next morning, I read in the newspapers that firemen responding to flames in one of the rooms of the hotel had discovered the corpses of 2 murdered women laid out on twin beds that had been set on fire. A firefighter had dragged one of the women out of the smoky room into the hallway and attempted to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, only to discover that she had no head or hands. At first, he thought it was a mannequin. A 15-year veteran of the NYFD, the firefighter said he nearly had to undergo trauma counseling afterwards. I've never come across something like that. I hope I never do again. The victim's clothing was found folded in the bathtub in 2 neat stacks with their platform shoes on top of each pile. Except for blood on the mattress, the hotel room was remarkably free of any bloodstains, fingerprints, or any other evidence. Whatever the killer used to dismember the bodies, he took it with him. In addition to the mutilation, the bodies showed signs of horrific torture: cigarette burns, beatings, and bite marks around the breasts. At the time, I never made the connection with the man I bumped into at the elevator. I did not even remember him. Somehow my wandering around the hotel in the black floating flakes, the fire alarm going off, and finding the fire engines outside all overwhelmed the minor memory of him. He came to me